Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about the big story out of Washington, or rather out of the GOP. Surprise! Senator Tim Scott makes his exit from the presidential campaign, suspending his candidacy. We'll share with you what he had to say about this no warning announcement. We'll have that. Also, the Democratic primaries will officially start in the state of South Carolina, the same state back in 2020 that gave Joe Biden and Kamala Harris the boost they needed to get to the White House. I'm asking the question, now that the primary schedule has changed, will it make a difference to bring out black voters? We'll have that conversation. Also, later on, we got to Reclaim Your Wellness with Dr. Bridget as she talks about black women and ADHD and mothers who are envious of non-parenting women. Yeah, it's a problem. Folks, stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Yeah, can we get some horns for that? Because it is Monday and people are up. There we go. Folks, happy Monday. We got a lot to talk about, but just want to let you know that we are streaming on Black Star Network, our home platform right now. So make sure you do your due diligence. Go to blackstarnetwork.com, download the app for free, and more importantly, that's right, you can become a stakeholder in this digital movement we are embarked upon. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. We're also streaming on Amazon News and your Fire TV, Amazon Prime Video, as well as there it is, Prime Video right there, folks. You can find us on Prime Video app under Live TV, then go to News, or find us at Amazon.com under Prime Video, Live TVs and News, and you can find us there. Also, we are on Freevee on now as under News, and we're also on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, that's what's up right there. All right, let's jump into the conversation as y'all are checking in to the online into the chat for our online culture crew conversation. Big shout out to the crew. I see y'all, Tiana. There we go. Come on, yeah. Let's give him some horns. Give him some horns. That's right. Pastor Damon Blissett, thank you so much. I got to give a big shout out to Pastor Damon because he's the one that first brought this attention to me about Tim Scott exiting the presidential campaign. So, big brother Damon, thank you so much for keeping us up to date on what's going on. You know what I mean? I hadn't even had a chance to scan the news. My brothers to say, hey, Farajii, check this out. So I appreciate you, Brother Damon, for that. Thank you so much. And any of you crew members, y'all can always send me some latest news and information. Stuff that you think I may not know or may not know. Don't even wonder. Just send and say, Farajii, I think we should talk about this. And we'll definitely show our love and appreciation for that. Anastasia, I see you. Thank you so much for checking in. My brother Conscious Thought. I got my other brother, Real Brooklyn. What up, though? What up, Real Brooklyn? Jawan, Yvette, thank you so much for checking in. Pauline, good to see you once again. And I got Sky KC. Good afternoon to you, Sky. Vic Abram, good to connect with you once again. And so many of you are checking in. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about this. We're going to take a quick pause in a moment. But let's at least just throw it out there. Are you really surprised that Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina has decided to, quote unquote, suspend his presidential campaign? Here's the thing I never understood. They always use the term suspend, and I always thought to myself, like, suspend? Sounds like he's just ending it. But maybe he's going to pick it back up, or any candidate picks it back up. But more importantly, he decides to suspend his campaign, and as a result of that, it dwindles down the number of viable candidates in this race for the GOP nomination. Now, let me just share with you very quickly why Mr. Scott decided to. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just wait. I want y'all to just bask in this because I know some of us. For Tim Scott, he opened up his mouth. Woosah. We got to take a quick, just a quick breath because he just opens up his mouth sometimes to say the wildest things. So we're going to just take a moment to let this marinate to let him know. And I told y'all, folks, that this was going to happen, not because I'm not feeling Mr. Scott, but it's just simply because he's not creating any waves. He didn't really stand out among all of these candidates. He didn't really apply pressure. So I'm not surprised at all. Are you surprised? Are y'all really surprised? Y'all let me know. Join us in the conversation. We're streaming live on YouTube on the Roland Martin's YouTube page. Crew, let me know what your take on this. Do you think that this is going to make a difference? This is going to change anything? What do you make of this? Senator Tim Scott suspends his campaign for being president. He essentially says it's not his time. I would think that. I would agree. I would agree, but for other reasons, not for the reasons that he pointed out. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, I'm going to share with you what he had to say and, of course, get your take. Also, we got to talk about the Democratic primaries has officially been decided upon. The schedule, why the schedule is so important, and more importantly, will it make a difference to get black voters out? I'm going to share with you the latest about that. So stay with us. Still got a lot to talk about in this first half of the culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland. Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We're talking about the somewhat, sort of, kind of, maybe kind of surprise that Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina has decided to suspend his presidential ambitions. There he is. There's Timmy. There's Timmy. Why is he? The crazy part is, here's why it is a surprise. He went on. Let me see, what show did he go on? He went on Fox News. And the thing is, he went on Fox News just like a couple of hours before his appearance on Fox News. His team sent out a fundraising email, doing the campaign thing. Then he goes on Fox News, and then guess what? Boom, booyah. He drops the bombshell right there on TV with no warning, as some would say. He said, quote, let's throw this quote up in there and let's listen. He said he was announced Sunday that he dropped out of the Republican presidential campaign. He shocked the TV interviewer and even his own campaign staff with an abrupt departure from the race. He said, when I go back to Iowa, it will not be as a presidential candidate. I am suspending my campaign. He said this is on an appearance on former GOP's Representative Trey Gowdy's Fox News program. He said, I think the voters who are the most remarkable people on the planet have been really clear that they're telling me not now. Man, how do you go with that? Can you imagine that your bosses tell you, like, you know what? We're going to close up shop. You got to get it from an interview. Wow. Well, I thought he had so much more decorum. I thought Tim Scott was that guy. Anyway, yeah, he announced it on TV that he was suspending his campaign. He says, not now, not his time. And to be honest, y'all, I don't think it'll ever be Tim Scott's time. I think his time it is what it is. Conscious thought, you checked in, my brother. You said, was Tim Scott really ever actually? Was he really ever? I love how you put that, bro. Was he really ever actually in the race for the GOP nomination for president? Yes, of course he was. Of course he was. Let me just say, that GOP initial round of candidates was probably the most diverse group of contenders for the GOP nomination in their history. It's probably one of the most diverse groups. So y'all do with that as you may. But he added to that diversity. Nate Smith, you said the real question, what happens now to Tim Scott's girlfriend? Come on, Nate. No, don't start no trouble. Thank you, Nate, for bringing that up. He got a new girlfriend. What happens to her girlfriend? Who else is here? Brother Damon, my brother, you said, regardless of political affiliation, it's sad to see his talking points about being black in this country. I wonder where his head is at, Farajii. I think that's a great point. I think that Brother Damon, his whole conversation, his whole thought pattern and logic about there's no racism in this country, it just seemed like you on a different planet, bro. Like you just so out of touch of where we are. And as a person who I thought, I've seen black Republicans. I've seen them. I've listened to them, and they will at least acknowledge that there is some racism, that America has a race problem, right, Brother Damon? But then at the same time, this guy is just not even acknowledging that. And that just goes to show me, if you can't acknowledge that, and then just because you acknowledge something doesn't mean that, it's the worst thing in the world. You just simply pointing out something that is a reality for a lot of people. And I think that's part of the problem with the GOP, and that's part of the problem sometimes with the Democrats. You just don't want to simply acknowledge stuff, right? Like everybody's existence, everyone's reality is not the same. So for you, Tim Scott, your experience as being a black man, I know your story, and it's interesting that you say that because your story is one of struggle. You understand the hardships. But then you've told yourself in your own thinking, and like you said, Brother Damon, in his own head, that this is not what it is. And that's a hell of a thing to be delusional as a political leader. Sky, KC, you said he reminded me of Herschel Walker's campaign somewhat. He wasn't that bad, though. Herschel Walker's campaign was next level. I mean, his campaign was next level, like scary. You know what I'm saying? Like next level scary. I wouldn't put Tim Scott, and now y'all gonna be betting, some of you may be mad at me on this one, crew, but I wouldn't put Tim Scott and Herschel Walker in the same group. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't. Herschel Walker's next level, yo. That was like, whoa. And I remember when that was happening, and the fact that he got so close to possibly being elected, almost beating Raphael Warnock. That's still a lot of work. Many of us, so we talked about that when it happened. All right, Real Brooklyn, you said, nope, not surprised. Dude got that conservative swag, but got that ghetto credit. Finances up. What? Conservatives. Only Real Brooklyn. Conservative swag and ghetto credit. There it is. There it is. Thank you, Real Brooklyn, for bringing that to the table. Pauline, my sister, you said this Tim Scott thinking by bringing out Light, Bright, it was going to boost his candidacy. Are you talking about this man's girlfriend? I mean, he's dating a white woman. A lot of black men do. And guess what? It is what it is. It is what it is. But I don't know if that was a political play or if that's just, I don't know what that was, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I'm not going to assume anything, though. Not going to assume anything. Let's see. Who else is there? Everybody's talking about, y'all talking about that man's girlfriend, man. Come on. Stop playing. Lana, you said the Hollywood actors just got off strike. Tim Scott, hashtag Tim Scott girlfriend. Come on, man. Sharon, you said permissible uses include charitable donations and donations to other candidates, while personal use is prohibited. Campaigns may refund money to donors or redistribute it with their permission. Absolutely. Cindy D, my sister Cindy, good to hear from you once again, Cindy. You said there's racism all around. Racism happened to him in the Senate as the only black senator there. He was stopped. He's still black, whether you acknowledge it or not. Absolutely. That's the thing. That's the thing about it. Like, your experience doesn't match the words to describe the reality. And that may be the problem. Like, if you are delusional about something that's that blatant, then why would we make you the president of the United States if you can't see literally right what's in front of you? That means that your policies, your moves, everything is going to be colored. It's going to be tainted. And it's not going to reflect the needs and the interests of the American people. There it is. Corinna, I didn't think you would stoop this low. Not even a full week after the fake ass girlfriend revealed he suspends FOH Tim. Man, wow. Y'all are vicious today. Anastasia, you said Herschel Walker has a mental illness problem. What's Tim Scott's problem? Damn. Y'all are vicious today. Let's get a couple of in before we take our next pause. Jawan Yvette, you said, let's hope we don't find out that he paid her to play his girlfriend on TV. What? I don't know, Tim. What is going on? I'm just saying. Tiana, you said, I'm not surprised at all. He just seemed fake. I thought you was going to add something like his girlfriend, because everybody else was taking shots, Tiana. Everybody else. Lana, you said, I mean, she looks very unnatural. Okay, look, guys. Y'all think, you know what? I'm done talking about this. Look, we're going to take a quick pause because, all right, bye, Mr. Scott. Bye, Tim. All right, look, we're going to move on. We're going to deal with the rest of these folks on the GOP side later. All right, look, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about the new Democratic primary schedule that has been announced and how it may shape up to, as the White House sees it, as an opportunity to engage black voters. My question is to you, crew, will it make a difference? Start to stay with us. We want to have that conversation up next here at the Culture of the Black Star Network. Y'all are crazy.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back. Y'all are just really going in. I keep reading these comments that y'all are posted in the chat right now, and I cannot stop laughing. Like, man, first, I can only imagine what RMU is going to look like tonight. Boy, this is the precursor for that. My God. I can only imagine, folks. Man, look, man. And see, this is the problem. See, we wanted, you know what? It would be awesome to get black Republicans like a Tim Scott on this network, but it won't happen now. It will not happen now. It will not happen. Man, oh man. There we go. Y'all going in. All right, let's talk a little bit about, okay, now that Tim Scott is out, let's talk about, let's go from GOP to the Democrats, folks. Can we do that? All right, so the Democrats here is now looking forward to the 2024 primary season because they did some changes there. Y'all know that normally the Democratic primary season starts in Iowa, right? The state of Iowa. Well, because of some technical glitches and some other things that were happening for the 2020 election, now it has been proposed and has been accepted by the Democratic National Committee to now make South Carolina as the first stop in the Democratic primary season. And so, there was a report that Vice President Kamala Harris has officially filed paperwork to put President Biden on the South Carolina's ballot to kick off the 2024 Democratic primary. And so, with South Carolina being the number one spot, that first primary is going to be on February the 3rd, and then 3 days later, is going to be followed by the state of Nevada. Now, of course, we know down in South Carolina, Representative Jim Clyburn, one of the leading black voices in Congress, as well as the man who turned the tide for President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. They owe a debt of gratitude to this man because y'all remember President Biden was trailing, like he was trailing. Then he had a conversation with Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn said, "Look, man, I'm gonna get some black folks behind you." They had a conversation. I don't know what they talked about. They had a conversation, and then it looks like everything just turned. It just went after that primary in South Carolina. I don't know if y'all would have been paying attention, but to y'all political wonks out there like me, when I saw it and I saw him winning, it was just like a night and day situation in the campaign. He just started winning. Biden started winning, 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 winning. So South Carolina is a huge part of this administration's legacy and a huge part of their future. And that's what they're banking on. They're banking on the fact that they can get the same type of vote to come on out. Now, here's my question. Will it make a difference, folks? Will it make a difference? Now, when Vice President Kamala Harris, she came into the state on Friday. Let me share this piece from NBC News. Take a look at this, folks. She flew to South Carolina on Friday to file the paperwork where she putting President Joe Biden on the 2024 presidential ballot of the state, which will lead off the Democratic presidential primary thanks to a White House-led schedule overhaul meant to better empower black voters. Harris was joined in the state capitol by South Carolina Representative Jim Clyburn, one of the leading black voices in Congress. She said it was South Carolina that created the path to the White House for Joe Biden and me. I'm here to say thank you. Let's do it again. So she knows that. Now, also on hand was DNC Chair Jamie Harrison. Let me share this with you as well. If y'all can go to the DNC's website to take a look at this, but take a look at this. Let's pull up quote 2, please, Lise. Thank you. The DNC approved a new 2024 calendar where South Carolina's primary on February 3rd will be followed 3 days later by Nevada. The schedule also moves Michigan into the group of early states voting before Super Tuesday on March 5th, when most of the rest of the country holds primaries. Yeah. So the big part of this is that this switch, it happened because it will also give a better analysis. Because of the diversity of South Carolina is over 50% black. So it becomes now that South Carolina was that major state in the 2020 election that turned the tide is now becoming the litmus test because they have a huge population of black folks in the state that the administration can rely upon. So I want to get your take. Will it make a difference? Post your comments in the chat as we're talking about this new Democratic presidential primary schedule. And y'all can go to the DNC website to take a look at all of the states, that will be having their primaries. And that will be the determining factor. Let me go back to what y'all are saying. Tiana, you said they need to get boots on the ground now and reach out to black men. Absolutely. Amen. Amen to that. Absolutely. Real Brooklyn, you said Republicans are sticking with the traditional roles for Iowa and New Hampshire for their presidential primary in 2024, but Democrats have for years been looking to promote more diverse states. Excellent point. That's a great point, Real Brooklyn. And I think it may work in this way. The thing is, will we respond? Will we respond? Because of this shift and because of this change, will it cause more black voters to get involved? Now, I know my sister Corinna's in the chat. She always talks about this. Getting black folks involved. Will we respond to the change? Now, I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out. And I got to take another pause. I'm very interested because if you got South Carolina, then what we say, Nevada, we got Nevada next. We're talking about Michigan. And All of this before Super Tuesday in March, on March the 5th. This may be a game changer. This may be a game changer. But South Carolina is going to be that one. South Carolina is going to be that one. Look, I got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's get more of your thoughts on this. Do you think this will make a difference as we talk about the Democratic primary presidential schedule? Do you think this is going to make a difference? Do you think more black voters are going to come out, get engaged, get involved now that this primary is kicking off with a very heavy black state? Share your thoughts, post your comments, and let's continue the conversation on the other side. Stay with me. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in. Let's talk. We've been talking about this new presidential primary schedule that the Democrats have now announced, saying that they're going to use South Carolina as the kickoff state for the Democratic primary season. Now, this is a change because normally it's the state of Iowa. You even had the state of New Hampshire in some cases. And, one of our great crew members, Real Brooklyn, mentioned that the GOP is going to be moving forward on that traditional path, whereas now the Democrats are looking to engage more diverse states early on in the primary season especially before getting a couple of wins in before Super Tuesday of March the 5th, which I understand the rationale and the logic behind it. Now, the other part of this is that research has now shown that South Carolina Democrats also are moderate on certain issues of economics and social issues, which really complements where the Biden Harris administration is with their stance on things. It makes it very harder for extreme and far left candidates to win primaries in those states. So you're trying to rack up those wins early. You're trying to rack up those wins early, especially when you're looking at a president that lost in Iowa, he lost in New Hampshire, he and Nevada, but he won in South Carolina. So it's like and I don't want to use this term, but it's like a little bit of the gerrymandering thing. Like you have to try to figure out a way to build your power up in the beginning. So that way, when you come into like Super Tuesday, where majority or large percentage of states will be having their primaries, you got some momentum coming into that spot. Instead of waiting and hoping on Super Tuesday to bring you the momentum, you're bringing in that momentum. So it makes sense that the Democrats decided, hey, let's just switch up the schedule a little bit and let's play to our strengths instead of playing to tradition. Let me get those words out. Let me go back to what y'all have to say of this as we talk about this. Tiana, you said no, it doesn't make a difference, because I'm asking the question, will it make a difference? Especially when you're talking about engaging black voters. And Tiana, you said no, some of us don't give a damn about a primary. Well, we should, but you're absolutely right. I think because, again, Tiana, you know this like I know this, and the rest of y'all know this. We put so much emphasis on the presidential election, like the general election coming out for the general, that we don't talk about like either the congressional elections or the primary elections and how they help to build that momentum. And more importantly, they get us active, right? Like if you are able to go to the poll, people, because some people, I remember every time primaries come around, people were like, but didn't we just vote? I'd be like, yeah, you vote in the primary, then you vote in the general. And like, well, who votes? And then the questions like, who votes in the general, and all of that stuff starts to pop up, right? So to your point, Tiana, that civic engagement, that voter education needs to kick in on that. Great point. Davey, you said, I will not respond. Best of luck to Democrats, but it's the third party from here on out. I respect that, Davey. I totally respect that, man. And, I think this is going to be a very interesting time because we've been talking, Roland's been talking about this, and now a lot of news agencies and a lot of spaces, online social media, have been talking about this crisis, this trouble that Joe Biden has with black voters in particular, getting black voters to ride along with him for the next 4 years. So I understand, Davey. I understand. Lana, my sister, you said, how will we respond? We are mobilizing on reparations in South Carolina, Illinois, Michigan, Arizona, and Arkansas. Pay attention. That's going to be huge. That's going to be huge if that mobilization is happening and at the same time that primary season is going. Huge. Monkey Confession. You said agree. Good luck to the Dems. It is not looking good for them. Well, right now they had some good victories in this past election that we just went through last week. So the momentum is certainly there. Maybe with the revamped schedule, that it's going to bring some more momentum there. I'm not going to say that it looks dim for the Democrats right now. I will say that there's particularly a little flicker of light at the end of the tunnel, a little flicker of light. Lee Rice checking in with the crew. You say, what has Biden and Harris done to better the lives of the black community? Well, that's a big question. We talked about a number of things on the show. So, Lee, I would suggest you watch past shows of the culture. Go to Roland Martin Unfiltered. He talks about it. A lot of things that both parties, the president, what the president, vice president has done. More importantly, go to whitehouse.gov. I remember Brother Michael always talks about this, right? Brother Michael and Hotep, one of our great contributors here on the Black Star Network. Just go directly to whitehouse.gov. Y'all want to know what has Biden done, what has Harris done? Go to whitehouse.gov. They will tell you what they've done. It's all laid out, right? They actually have an area, they have a section on there. I think it's been like maybe a couple of weeks since I've been on there, but they have a section on there dealing with Black America. Go to whitehouse.gov. And then let's talk a little bit more if you still got some questions, bro. Corinna, you said it's the not giving a damn about a primary why folks are complaining about Biden right now. Yeah, well, again, voter education, right, Corinna? Like understand that this process of getting out to vote, maybe voting twice within a given year, all of this stuff, just understanding the process. Absolutely. And you also said all the hits on Biden being the nominee, but you didn't vote in the damn primary when there were so many other choices. No vote in the primary equals a choice you don't get to make. And no vote is a choice, right? Like when you don't vote, then you are voting for something and you're not voting for something else. I'll just let y'all just kind of let that sit there right there. Jawan, you said, I think it will ultimately make a difference to give Dems the momentum, as you said, Farajii. I'm not looking third party just yet, especially since there's no real path to 270 for most third party candidates. You're talking about the electoral college vote. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting, but here's the thing, and I got to take another quick pause. The thing is, when do you have a third party candidate? Or when do you have that real in-depth conversation about the value, the importance, the significance of a third party, right? Like, there's never, I think from every point on out here, from this election, we can say from 2020, we can even go back to when President Barack Obama was elected, right? Every single election is crucial. So when do you have the conversation about a third party candidate, right? Without disturbing the vital importance of any election from this point forward. When do you have that? They might have said the same thing back in the 80s, like, oh, you can't have a third party because it will be. So when do you have the conversation? Or do we not just have the conversation? Did I just open up another topic? I hate when I do that sometimes. But yeah, when do we have the conversation? When do we have it? Well, I guess when a viable candidate, but it's like chicken and the egg thing very quickly. It's like, okay, do you have the conversation about a third party when you see a viable third party candidate? But then, or do you create the conversation to cultivate the space for a third party candidate to emerge? It's interesting. It's interesting, Jawan, and I appreciate you bringing up that point. It's very interesting because it's like at any point, a third party candidate is not going to be accepted, welcomed. They're not going to be the ones that's going to be loved on, right? At any point. And we're seeing it. We got a Dr. Cornel West. We've had Joe Stein before. We've had other individuals that have been outside of the two major political parties, but every single time there's always been, it's not the right time. This is not the right place. This is not the right candidate. When do you have that conversation? If you're serious about supporting a third party option or a third party candidate, if we're serious, I don't know. That's a different conversation that we don't have time for today, but just throwing it out there. When do you have it if you don't have it? Because every election is critical. Every election is crucial. Every election is. So when do you have that conversation? We will have to wait and see, I guess, right? But look, we're going to take another quick pause, and I truly appreciate you. Big shout out to Sherlock Maxwell, who just added something to the pot for the Bring the Phone fan club. He just checked in and gave something for the fan club level 1. Sherlock Maxwell, thank you so much, brother, for joining us be a part of the culture crew, and more importantly, adding something to the pot for Black Star Network. This is the type of conversation. Not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it's going to be fun, but we will have to see. But I think that this path that the Democrats has taken, they're trying to create a path of victory and not a path of great resistance. Because guess what, folks? We got too much work to do. Still a lot of work that needs to be done. So we'll just put this on the back burner, take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about our health and wellness. Let's check in with Dr. Bridget and, of course, with you. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, y'all. Welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. First half of the show, we talked a little bit about the departure of Senator Tim Scott from the presidential campaign. He suspended his campaign, folks, indefinitely, and basically said it's not his time. And guess what? We already knew that. We already knew that. So talked a little bit about that. Also, the Democrats have officially announced their new primary schedule, which will kick off in South Carolina, a predominantly black state. And I didn't even mention one of the great crew members talked about the state of Georgia possibly being another state that could have been a consideration. But Georgia is a swing state. So Georgia may not be the state you want to put your bets on if you're trying to get a victory early on in the state versus South Carolina, when you got a man like Representative Jim Clyburn down there kind of making the ground soft for you. That's a different place. So We had that conversation and so much more. Make sure y'all check us out in the first half of the show. All right, now let's check in with our resident doctor. She's a family physician. She's the author of Courage in Cannabis, both Volume 1 and Volume 2. And she is an activist and entrepreneur crisscrossing the country in various spaces, from talking about cannabis, the benefits of cannabis, to talking about making sure that we stay healthy in our wellness. Dr. Bridget, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness with Dr. Bridget. All right, good afternoon, Doc. How are you?
Great. How are you, Farajii?
Are we wearing the same color?
Maybe.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That is unusual, though, isn't it?
That is very unusual.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a little crazy. It's very concerning.
We've been doing this too long. We've been doing this a little bit too long,
A
right?
little bit too long. We started tuning in. Like, you're wearing blue. I'm wearing blue too. Doc, how are you this afternoon?
Good. Always busy, but excited to talk about our topic today and
Yeah.
with you.
All right. So the first one I brought to your attention,
Yes.
and I actually thought that when y'all tell you, when I bring things to Doc's attention, I could kind of get a sense of whether she's like feeling it or she's not feeling it.
No. It's not.
But
No. That's
no, it's not that. I'm just joking with you now. But here's the thing. This is a topic that I actually hear a lot of women talking about,
Yes.
right? Mothers who are becoming envious of non-parenting women. This is interesting. This came up because artist Queen Naja, she's a
Mm-hmm.
singer, but she's been a mother since the age of 19. She's still trying to learn who she is in the midst of raising two boys. Now she's 28 now, but she's been a parent, a mom since for the past 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that this when she was discussing motherhood and being very frank and candid about it, she finds herself being envious of people who don't have kids. She says, quote, sometimes I envy the girls that get to wake up with no kids and like literally get to design the apartment the way they want and literally just go and do whatever they want.
Right.
What is this a sign of? Because I've heard a lot of women say this and talk about this. What are we looking at here with this? Is this some sort of, I mean, I don't know if there's a medical term for this, but what is this that we're looking at, Doc?
The medical term is just blatant honesty. I think she's willing. Is that bad? I think she's willing to say what we often are. There's a stigma around saying, I'm tired of these damn kids. There's a stigma around that. You're a bad parent. I'm just being honest, So to hear the fact that this actually caught enough attention to be published in Essence magazine tells you the stigma around saying something like that, right? The way that people feel about it, the way that they feel women should be, Stepford wives and excited about every little moment their child has. We're evolving as a culture. And the fact of the matter is, it's always been assumed that women are supposed to, part of what makes you desirable as a woman is being married and having children. If you aren't able to do one of those, then you are less desirable as a woman. And so it's something that we're not allowed to talk about. But the fact of the matter is, she brings it up. She talks about the fact that, particularly if you start out as a young parent, I think it's even more of an issue because she hasn't had the opportunity to evolve as an individual, and has spent her late teens and early 20s being in a space where she's always having to think about another human life. And that's not easy.
So is this a sign? I know we got to take another quick pause, but I'm wondering, is this a sign that sometimes you can have children at too young of an age, even though you might be quote unquote old enough? even at 18, or some people say, okay, if you're 18, you're an adult in some cases. If you're 21, you're an adult. If you're 25, you're an adult. But there can actually be a time where having children might be premature for your own personal growth and development. Is that the case too?
Well, 100%. I mean, the fact of the matter is,
Okay.
I think it does depend on the person, right? And so there are 18 and 21-year-olds where this fits perfectly for who they are and what they want out of life. But we're in a different phase in time where women we're a little bit more conscious of who we are as just human beings and what we might want out of life. So I don't want to say, yes, this age is too young, because for some it's, I've talked to women where they're really happy they had their children young, because now they hit, late 30s going into their 40s and their kids are adults, and, they feel like they're living their best life. But then that also meant they had to grow up with their children. And of course, women that have children later, many times they were, living their best life, and at, what is it? Down in Atlanta that they canceled, that I gave you a hard time talking about.
Freaknik.
Yeah, they did Freak. Yeah, we had a little argument about Freaknik. So, but they're down at Freaknik living their best life. And when they have established their career and they've moved forward, then they're ready to have children. There's no perfect time for anyone. But the fact of the matter is, I think the important part here is that there's a trend, and that 44% of participants in a recent study decided they were unlikely to have children because they didn't want to do that. And that's probably more the point.
All right, so we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, I want to delve deeper into that statistic you just shared, Doc, and so much more. Ladies in the chat, I want to get your take. I want y'all to be completely honest with us here. Do you agree with this? Do you find yourself, or did you find yourself kind of being a little jealous and envious of women who didn't have children, as versus you, if you had children early in life and whatnot? You may be far removed from that. Your children may be grown, but do you remember their time being that way? And how do we not make women feel bad about being mothers? Let's have a conversation about this and so much more related to our sisters. Stay with us. We're just getting started with Doc here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, checking in with our resident physician, Dr. Bridget, MD, who is a family physician. She's also an author, an activist, an entrepreneur. And today we're talking about how there are some women who are mothers who are revealing that they are jealous, or they may feel a certain type of way about women who aren't mothers. This is based on a recent interview that the singer Queen Naja had, where she revealed at 28 years old that she is envious of women who don't have children, who can just get up and go and live their life the way they want to live, when she started having children at the young age of 19 years old. So I think that, one, it takes a lot of courage for a sister like Queen Naja to even admit that, right? Like, because like you just eloquently pointed out, Doc, there is this view that women should love motherhood. That women, of course, we know that y'all have the capacity to be mothers, right? Most of you, but you got to really have the desire. Like every day, it has to be in you. Like, I'm gonna be a mother. And then there's also this view that when you do have children, that you're going to give it your all. And let me, as a dad, Doc, and I know I can speak for some of the guys out there, I'm not giving all of myself to my children, just all of my time, because I am still a different person. I am still my own person, right? And I love my children, my son and my daughter. I want to, of course, be there for them. But at the end of the day, like, I got to look at myself. I do not want to, and this is part of the reason why I don't want more children, because it's like, I'm getting a little selfish now. My children are growing up. My time is more important to me than anything else, especially as you grow up, right? Like money come and go, but time, once you spend it, that you will never get it back. So it's like I'm looking at life differently now. Right. So let's talk a little bit about this, because you're right. I think a lot of women catch unfortunate flack for just simply wanting to be honest with themselves.
I can even say that, I have a 19-year-old, right? So, talking about 19, and I want to say she might have been 13 when she was like, I'm not having kids. And I was like, so I felt like I was somehow a failure, that I obviously misrepresented motherhood in some way that made her think that this wasn't the best thing ever. But she was like, I want to do me. And I was like, you're 13. What is me? Well, I don't even understand. Right. But I think she's also, her peers are saying this. And now that 19, she hasn't really changed her mind. I think, and what she actually ends up doing, who knows, right? But I think there is a space for women to say, I want a different life, and that I am not defined by being married or by having children. And right. This is not a place that we've been at ever before.
And that's a great point. That's an excellent point, right? Like, I think that it's okay for women to redefine what it means to be a woman. I don't think a man can speak on that. I think only women have to, y'all have to come to, it may not be a collective consciousness, but at the end of the day, y'all redefine. I think each woman should have the power and the agency to say, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, and that's okay. And any man that comes into that woman's life should either accept it or hit the road.
And I've seen the opposite of that. I've seen people that I know well that the woman decided she wanted to be married, did not want to have kids. He went along with it literally right after the wedding. He's talking about having kids when she made it very clear. And then the tension starts. And what does she do? She ends up having kids because she doesn't want to lose her marriage. And so
That's foul. That's foul, Daph. That's wrong.
It was a little foul.
That's foul.
It was.
I don't get that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't get that. First, bro,
I've seen that. It happened.
You said that was the only time that happened?
No, it's not. I've seen this happen.
Oh, wow.
And I've seen, where the woman's like, no, that's not what I want. And I think the husband thinks, oh, you're saying that now. You won't feel that way later.
Yeah.
And then the tension really starts, and it's a horrible place to be in. And so we're looking at things differently. The world is different. So, in doing a little bit of extra research in preparing for this topic, I came across 6 reasons why more and more Black women are opting to remain child-free. Okay.
All right. Now, before you even get to that, because I want to make sure I know you're about to drop some jewels on us right now. We got to take another quick pause. Let me just throw this, get a couple of comments in very quickly. Dr. Sarah Williams, my sister, thank you so much for checking in. You said, I had my twins in my late 30s and at times wondered if I missed out on elements of career and social growth. Rather, 19, 29, 39, or beyond, the grass at times can appear greener.
It always appears greener, doesn't it? Yeah.
Always.
Always. So you can't, the ones without children are sitting around saying, oh, y'all feel that way? Because I was feeling that way about you. It's the grass is always green. That's true, right? So.
No, that's real. That's real. But see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, very quickly. When people and I hear you, Dr. Sarah, because I think that I think this happens with women, and I think it happens with men too.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we do get into a space of being career oriented, like we spend most of our adult years chasing the bag or chasing that next big position or whatever the case may be, or social growth, as Dr. Sarah mentioned. Like we start to feel like something is missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now, planning for children is not like, oh, I want children today and then next year it's going to happen. There's a whole lot of other stuff that has to happen in between that time of, making sure you're good emotionally, making sure you find a mate that is suitable to have a child with.
You're saying that like people plan that well. Now I'm not going to have you sit up on here lying. Okay,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's a whole process. It's a whole process. And again, not just for women, but also for men. It's the same thing. It's a whole process. And that could take a long time in and of itself to find a suitable mate. Yeah, your career's jumping. Now, because I hear some people, some women, they might be like, all right, my career's good. I'm living in this dope place. I got my great social network. Let me just find me a man and let me just put him he's like a puzzle piece.
Mm-hmm.
When he should be the X factor.
Yeah, men do that too. But, I had a conversation with a family that I'm working with earlier today. And they adopted a child. She never had her own. The husband had been married previously and had multiple children and, what have you. But she wanted to have a child, with her husband. And so they ended up adopting. The child has a lot of severe mental health issues. And in the course of working with them today, I asked her, how are you? And, she's, it's a struggle. So I says, well, how is your husband? And her response was, he gets to go to work. And, I just let that sit there for a minute because he deals with it, but he gets to escape every day. Right. And she says, and plus I'm the mom, so I have to take this all on myself.
We got to take a break. I want to let that sit. To all the men out there, we got to let that sit. Woo, that's heavy. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation about this topic with Dr. Bridget and, of course, with you. Post your comments in the chat as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page. And, of course, stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I've been talking to our doctor, Dr. Bridget MD, about this topic of women who are envious of other women, mothers who are envious of non-parenting women, and how this has opened up a large, like, Pandora's box within our chat, Doc. Let me just say that, because there are so many complexities, and one, as a man and as a dad, just keeping in mind that there's a lot of sensitivity around this topic, right? Whether it's, the choice, whether it's the physical ability of a woman who may want children, but maybe her body won't allow her to have children. It's a lot of sensitivity around, like I said, the personal choices that a person makes at a young age versus what they want to make at an older age. You're talking also about, something that Big Brother Willie Frazier, one of our culture crew members, brought up. He said he knows some women whose mother abandons them, maybe because of the envy of being single. So you're talking about now a certain level of abuse that comes into the picture because a woman finds out with when she has children, she's resentful, she becomes bitter, angry, and wants to take it out on the children. We don't talk about it as much. We harp on black men leaving the household, but there are a number of black women and women in general who will leave the household because of whether it's post-traumatic stress or just leaving the household because that's not what they thought, they felt like, I thought I wanted this life. I don't.
Yeah, they don't get the support,
Right.
the relationship isn't working out well, and they're burdened. They feel like they're still young, and how do they get into this situation where they're have such a heavy weight? Nothing was what they expected. And I have seen quite a bit of that as well. Having, a diverse patient population, but always having a large Black female population in my medical practice, I see a lot of scenarios go down, and I see the inside aspect to it, right? And so when a woman ends up choosing to leave the children with her spouse, ex-spouse, the father of the kids, whatever it may be, the stigma around that is a burden, right? And is very difficult. But the fact of the matter is we're evolving. We're different than, Black women in this country used to not just raise their own kids, they were raising the white folks' kids, right? And they had the burden of taking on children was a part of the identity of who we were as Black women. And we're in a different place. And what used to be seen as selfish when Black women would say, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going on trips with my friends. We're taking some of the liberty that we've seen some of our spouses take, that we've seen some of the Black men take, where they hang out with their friends. They're out on Friday nights. A good friend of mine, when she got married, her husband said, great, we're getting married, but keep in mind, I'm out with my boys every weekend. And for the first probably 5 years, she accepted that. I know.
Damn.
Every weekend. Every weekend.
Every weekend?
So I was like, how married are you? Right? And so
wait a minute, hold up. Maybe it's just me, dog.
There's stuff going on here, Farajii.
I'm about to say, there's got to be some other stuff happening, because if my fine ass wife is home, I'm not hanging out with the sausage fest.
Well, who knows who he's hanging out with? And that's another reason why women.
I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather be cuddled up on a sofa watching movies and stuff instead of always hanging out with my homeboys in some bar, some lounge. I get it. Yeah, socialization is good and it's necessary for men, but you got to balance that out every weekend now for years. So I get it. Let me share some more other thoughts around this, because I think that part of the stigma is our cultural influences, like we've been talking about, right? And this whole thing is, and I'm gonna just keep saying this, Doc. This whole thing comes down to the one person. That's y'all. That's the woman. That's the woman, right? And I think that for so long we have been afraid of women speaking their truth, saying what they're going through. Like, as men, we are afraid to hear what a woman has to say. Just in some cases, women are afraid to hear what men have to say, to show their vulnerabilities and our sensitivities, right? So for this conversation, I think it's important that we listen. And I'm saying we as men, we as the culture, we as Black America, we got to listen to women, what y'all got to say about this. Now, because it doesn't do us any good. I would rather for a woman to be honest about where she is on the motherhood conversation. Like, if she says she doesn't want to be a mother, that's fine, sister. If you want to be the favorite auntie, that's fine, because motherhood is going to test you. And I would rather for a woman to be honest and say, you know what, this is not working out for me, versus putting this agenda on her like, oh no, we got to build the Black family. We got to build the Black community. That's all well and good. but you want to build it with somebody who actually wants to do it,
Right.
who
And
has the
once you're
desire
in
to
it,
do it.
there's no like exit, not a reasonable exit, right? So once you're in this space, you have the commitment. And we often say for the next 18 years, but we all know your kids are not grown at 18,
Oh
and
no.
some of them are not grown at 30. And so it is a life commitment. And I think when you're seeing, we also have a generation of, it is harder to make it on your own than it's ever been, right? And so you have kids that have gone off to college, gone off for careers, and guess what? They're coming back home and they're living back right up in your house again. And you're like,
Eating
I
your
thought I was
food.
done with you, right? Like I wanted to be me. And now, why are you in my house? Right. And we're not allowed to say that. We're supposed to say, oh, come home. I love having them home. No, I actually had an intervention with a woman who was still at home, maybe 32 years old. She had her child living at home with her mother and her new husband, and they didn't get along, of course, right? The mom and the daughter were having issues. And I said, do you understand that she did not plan on having her living grandchild? She did not plan on still having to take care of your issues. She got remarried. She wants to get a regular job. She's still young, because she had children young. So she was in her early 50s and said, I'm ready to do my thing now, and I can't.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't get that opportunity. And the fear of never having the opportunity to be yourself is slowing down women from saying, do I even want to go there in the first place?
Mm. Now, what are those 6 things that you wanted to share with us as we have this?
So, number one reason why Black women are choosing to be child-free is kids are expensive. Like,
Let me tell you something. I got a 4-year-old. She eats, man. She eats, man. You gotta have
that 4-year-old is not eating that much. I mean,
my 10-year-old act like he's 21, man. He kind of he has a black hole for his stomach. Like,
they're growing.
They're expensive. They're growing. You gotta feed. Look, let me tell you, like, I'm serious. You gotta feed these little human beings. You gotta
and they
feed
won't
them.
let up. They won't let up. They're basically saying that when you factor in the cost to raise a child in a 2-parent middle income household was about $300,000.
Damn.
To raise one child. And when you factor in saving a minimum of $22,000 for college, the number could skyrocket even higher. I feel like, we might be turning people off by having this conversation.
No, you know what? No, you know what? I don't look. This is this is the culture, man. This is what it is. It is what it is. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat nothing for Black folks and no more. This is what it is. It's not easy because I think part of the issue, and I know you see this in your patients, doc. People got this fuzzy fairy tale kind of view of life, right? Like, no, this is real talk. Like, having children is a beautiful thing. If you want to have children, I wanted to be a dad, so it's as much as, like, yeah, I can make jokes about, but I love my children. I love that. But at the end of the day, it costs. And this is part of the decision making of being an adult. It's going to cost you to have little human beings running around you in your space. It's going to cost you. If you can't deal with that, man, please rethink I'm telling you, rethink. Be honest. Be honest. Don't do this. Don't make them big decisions because of somebody else, or you think the culture will want you to do it. It's good for the people. You got to make that decision for yourself first.
And if anything, I would say make sure it's a decision. Make sure it is meaning that too many people end up pregnant, to be totally honest with you, right? And it doesn't have to be that way. So making it a decision to have children when you're ready at that time makes a huge difference how you feel about it at every phase of your life, because this was your choice.
Right.
So making that effort is really important. The second thing, and I don't really see this as being true, but they said that the struggle to breastfeed is a real issue. And that's what's turning
Mm.
off women but you don't know if it's an issue for you until you get there. So I don't
Right. Right.
really
Yeah.
know if that is something that would turn people away, because of course every mom believes it's going to be easy for them, right? So but
That's
apparently
real.
is another reason. More than half of mothers admitted that breastfeeding was more challenging than they expected. And to be honest, for Black women, the resources are sparse, very sparse. They don't even, I've seen it over, I saw it with myself, I've seen it with patients. You're supposed to have these lactation consultants and they support you and they kind of like look at you like, well, you know, you're Black, you do this every day. You know, they just don't even give you the attention that they give the white counterpart. So,
Mm.
so but that's something you wouldn't know until you're already there, you know?
Yeah.
The third one is they just don't want them kids, period.
That's it.
Women have always been expected to have to be mothers, and we're at a phase where there's so many options for women now. There's so many educational, so many resources that we can choose a different way of being.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick pause because I got to take another break. When we come back, let's get the last three of that list, and then the doc might be able to cover a little bit about Black women and ADHD and that conversation. Solutions Radio, I see what you're saying. Conversations like this are a form of neo-colonialism. Really?
Wait, what? What's that mean?
Neo-colonialism? Because we're talking about the pros and cons and talking about choice. Come on, come on. No, no, it's not a what? No, this is not neo-colonial. This is having very real talks. If you were sitting in Dr. Bridget's, can we do it? Let's just do a two-shot with me and Doc real quick. If we were sitting in Dr. Bridget's office and and she was talking to a couple and they talked about having a baby, she would say the same damn thing. Like, look, these are some of the things that you need to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the pros, here's the cons. Are you prepared for this? Or are you prepared for that?
And the fact is, we never have that conversation. I don't think
not as a mass, not in mass, not culturally, because we want to kind of act as if these dynamics don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are afraid of the fact that women might be unhappy. I'm tired of the abuse. I'm tired of us having conversations. We'll have cultural conversations about talking about the mother who yells at her children, who curses at her children.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know that back in her head, she probably resents her children because she felt like she was compelled or forced to be there. Let's take the steam out of that. Or why is she yelling at the child like that? Maybe because she lay down with a man that she thought she knew and all of that stuff. Let's take the steam out of that.
There you go. That's the truth. And now you're stuck with this person that never respected you or you have these issues with. And now you have this child with them. The fact of the matter is, I'm curious how many women ever that have children in the audience ever really thought about it was never an option for me. I never really thought about, oh, I'm not going to, because I grew up in a time where, again, my value is based on, despite the fact that, you know, I'm a physician and education, what have you, my value was based on being married and having children. I got engaged and I was getting married 2 weeks after my medical school graduation. People cared less about me graduating from medical school, but I was getting married and I was marrying another physician, and now I had value.
Wow.
And I was in that moment like, y'all are kind of messed up, aren't you? Because why is this more important than the work that I've been doing over the last umpteen years? And I thought it was odd at the time. So many women probably never even thought not having children was a choice. So to be honest, you can call it what you want. I celebrate a woman that thinks about what's right for her.
Let's take a pause right there. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We got our sister, Dr. Bridget, MD. Doc, this is the big conversation that we've been having. I'm sorry, I knew I feel bad because I know that we'll do it next week.
Yeah.
But this is such a big conversation. It's a lot of layers to this.
Yeah,
And I am really, really grateful that I'm talking to you about this because of not the fact that you're just a mother, but just the fact that you understand the complexities as a woman, as a doctor. There's a lot that's taking this. What are the final three pieces of those three reasons?
So the other piece is that the future is concerning, right? When you look at racism in this country, when we think about, the issues that we've talked about from the beginning, Farajii, about our children being afraid of being shot, about being discriminated against, about
That's real.
things have gotten worse instead of getting
That's
better,
real.
right?
That's right.
And who hasn't sat back and say, oh, I don't want my children to go through this. And for some that are at that pinnacle, some of them are choosing and saying, I don't want my children to go through this. And it's the future is really concerning. Economically, what our choices are, we're swinging back to a point where people are seeking less and less education because it's simply too expensive. And so people are saying, I want to make the choice that will allow a good future, and focusing on oneself and others might be a better way of doing that. Keep in mind, we're also in a place where, as adults, we're sandwiched in when we have children, right? We tend to be the caregiver. We have children later. We're taking care of those children, but we're also taking care of our parents. And so those factors often slow when you are one of those children seeing that difficulty. And it's nearly impossible to afford decent care even as you get older. Some children are sitting back and saying, maybe not.
That's heavy. I wasn't thinking about that, but that's heavy. That is a lot of responsibility as an adult child that you carry. You're raising your children, but now you have to go back and provide and take care of your parents in the process. And that's a lot of demands.
With
That's
financial
a lot of demands.
as well as caring for them. And even when you have siblings, and you all know, somehow that sibling doesn't seem to show up for that, right? And so it ends up landing quite often on one child, maybe two, but many times a lot of the burden and stress, just the stress of trying to manage both ends of that, falls on you as an adult. And so let alone, what your child might experience, they're watching. They're
Absolutely.
watching, see that, and they see that. The next one is maternal mortality rate is too high. Black women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy complications than white women. We've seen this before. We've seen issues that Cardi B has had, Serena Williams has had with their pregnancies. And again, it's one thing when, pregnancy obviously is difficult, but many times, no matter how much money you have, getting great care where people see you and are supporting you, it can be difficult, across the board.
And you really don't know how your body is or will do until it goes through that experience.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, the sixth one here, and I'm going to add one in here, right?
Okay.
The sixth one here is dating is harder. I don't even know if I need, you're talking about suitable partner. Even though men are happier with children, being a father, than men that don't have children, right? The fact of the matter is finding a healthy relationship that you want to stay in, that you want to raise your children in, that is a great role model and a support for you as a woman. Sometimes the risk is too high, and they're choosing not to participate in that. And I will say,
does that have you seen, and just, I know we got to take just another small quick pause, but have you seen more Black women doing in vitro, taking that route of, instead of that quote unquote traditional route of trying to find a mate and then kind of working it? Women, and I've actually heard some women say, look, I'm gonna just go to the lab
right,
and then do what it do.
Well, what I will say, particularly being, around professional women that did put off having kids, I see that quite a bit, whether it's adoption, whether it's going to the sperm bank, in vitro, whatever it may be, their friends, I see it quite a bit. But I would add that, and I think we've seen it a lot with celebrities, they don't want, I hate to make this sound horrible, but they don't want to ruin their bodies, to be direct. That, we have an idea of what beauty is in this culture, and your body changes significantly when you have children. And when it doesn't change significantly, your genes are either like you could sell them, or you probably had some surgery to make your body look like you didn't have children.
And that's crazy.
Because we don't value that. We don't value.
No, I'm about to say that. You hitting the nail right on the head. We put so much, and I think to the cultural side of that, I've heard so many conversations about women snapping back from having children and kind of going to their pre-children body. And it's like, if it's such a beautiful experience to give birth, especially if you're a woman who wants to give birth and everything else is clicking, then your body is part of that experience. Like, it feels like you kind of mad at your body for going through the experience of having children. And you're so quick to get back to this culturally acceptable place with your own body. But, you're like, yes, I have a beautiful child, but you know what? My breasts are done. My stomach is tight again. My butt is looking this way. Yep. And it's like, but that's not the real process.
Right. And imagine a world where the body of a woman that has had children is as desirable or more desirable than really this teen looking body that you had, so many years ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not valued. So that's what I see more than anything, women that don't want to ruin their bodies.
Wow. Sharon Brooks, you said, Farajii, the youth really need that message. Absolutely. Because that's the message that young girls are taking on, that their bodies are more important than having, a child. Their bodies is more important than having a family. Their body is more important than anything else. Like how they are presented and seen. And you have daughters, you understand that dynamic. And I have a daughter too. So it's like I'm mentally getting myself prepared for that part of her growth and development. But
Right.
It's very, and I think that for us as men, and I think for us as the culture, we can change that, and we act as if we don't have no power in that. I know we got like 30 seconds left, Doc.
Mhm.
How can we change some of the cultural messages to become more accepting of a woman's voice, a woman's?
Well, I think where we are now is women are we are more able to make independent thoughts that work for us more than ever. And when you're looking at the fact that, 44% never plan to have children at all, it's going to have a shift in our culture. And so we're going to see the outcome of that in the next 10 years or 15 years, what that looks like. And so I encourage women to make the decisions that work for them and to not feel that their worth has anything to do with marriage and has nothing to do with having children. You came into this world with worth, and that it is not dependent on something outside or external to you.
There it is right there. Man, oh man. I cannot thank Dr. Bridget enough, y'all. Make sure y'all follow her on all social media platforms. Would there be an after chat today?
Yeah, I guess we have to. So now we got to, right? No, we'll continue it. I usually copy the questions. So anything that we didn't address, I usually go over
Yeah.
those. And then we're actually doing healthy relationships only afterwards, where I work with family attorney Jamie Joy Campbell. And we're talking about having a healthy relationship despite social media.
Woo, woo, woo. Good luck. Good luck. Dr. Bridget MD, y'all can check her out every Monday here on The Culture for her segment, Reclaim Your Wellness. We always appreciate her for joining us for the conversation. More importantly, she has been sharing so much insight and so much great information to help us to reclaim our wellness and health and wellness. So, Doc, thank you so much for being on the show, having this conversation, and as always, being so good for the culture.
Absolutely. Thank you, Farajii.
You're welcome. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you. Big shout out to the crew. Man, oh man, I love the conversations that we've been having in the chat today. Man, make sure y'all do your due diligence right there. Make sure y'all check us out on blackstarnetwork.com. If you enjoy the conversation, you enjoy this type of discussion, make sure y'all go to our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And more importantly, please give to help us to continue to power us in this movement. We got a lot of ground to cover on this network. We've been doing our best coming up with programmings and opportunities for us to have these conversations. And so it's awesome that we have this chance to be here today for such a momentous occasion. Also, folks, make sure y'all follow us on follow Brother Roland Martin on all his social media platforms. And of course, follow me at The Real Farajii on Instagram, I'm at Farajii on Twitter. I'm at The Real Farajii on Threads, and I'm at Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. I would love to connect with y'all as always. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Stay tuned. Up next, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Roland Martin Unfiltered. Big shout out to my dynamic production team for making today's show happen. And let's continue to have these conversations on the other side. Tomorrow, I got some dope guests lined up for you, so you don't want to miss that tomorrow as well. So, as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Peace.